In this video, we're going to be creating visuals for my library report. During the testing of our measures, we've seen them already, and we'll be introduced to a few more. We've already seen a matrix, a bar or column chart, and we've seen cards, but we haven't seen tables, we haven't seen line charts, and there are many, many more beyond these. In this video, we are going to be introducing a variety of formatted visuals to display your school library data. It's worth noting that the visuals that you choose should be suited to the pages that you're using and also to your data. We're now in the build report part of the Power BI report creation stages. And we're going to be focusing on bringing in visuals. So let's move over to the exercise and start building. I'm in the My Library report and I'm going to move to the current loans page. Let's add in a header. Text box. We'll make the size of the text 28. And we'll type in current loans. We'll then resize this and we'll make it run across the whole of the page. We'll center the text and we'll resize it a little further. Text boxes can be a little tricky to move around, so if you do need to move it around, you need to select on it and then move it around this way. You need to be very precise to do that. I'm happy with that now. I'm going to add in a navigation experience from the Insert tab of the ribbon. I'm going to select buttons and then I'm going to add in a back button and then I'm going to resize it. Going to select on some white space here and then I'm going to bring in a card visual. I'm going to go and have a look for total loans. And I'm going to take that from the measures and drag that in. I can drag that across now. And I can also move it up to the top. Let's do the same again, but we're going to do it for overdue loans. Bring in a card visual. Move it into position. And then I'm going to search for overdue. And then I'll have my total overdue loans and drag it into the field well. This isn't the only type of card visual that you can bring in. There's a more modern version of it. Select on some white space and then I can select on the card new visual. I can drag that into position and then I can go and look for loans. I'll look for total. And I can look for total loans, drag that into data. I can also bring my overdue loans. And I can then expand them both. I can go to the formatting options. Select on call out values. And we can center align them. I can now resize them. And I can remove the original total loans and the total overdue loans. Move this card into position. And I can play around with the formatting. For example, in the shape, I could make it a rounded rectangle. There are a range of formatting options available to you, including the layout and also in the call-out values. And you don't have to refer to just all of the series. You could just be looking at the total loans and you might need to make that a little bit smaller, maybe 20. And you'd see that would be different to the other series on total overdue loans. Let's move that back to 45. Let's bring in a table visual. Select on some blank space And we'll bring in a table visual. Let's make it a bit bigger. And we'll make it even bigger so we can fill up the screen. Let's start bringing in some fields such as the loan's name. We can bring in the book name, the date loan start, the date returned, the due date, the full name of the borrower. We'll take that from the student table. We'll bring in the is overdue field. The days overdue. The loans reminder email. And also the total days on loan. As you can see, the formatting of the date isn't suitable for us. So we can type in date and we can select on some of these columns so we can start formatting them. We'll change the format here. Select the drop down and I'm going to use this format here. I'll use the same format for each of the dates. Select on date loan start, change the formatting, new format, and also date returned. Going to look at this sum of days overdue. I'm going to double click on that and I'm going to change it to just be days overdue. I'm also going to change the formatting for this and I'm going to make it so it doesn't actually have any decimals. And I can do this by changing it from the decimal to be 0. The purpose of this page is to show us the loans that are currently out. But at the moment it shows us all the loans we ever had. So what I can do is I can select on the filters, and in the filters on this page I can take a look at the return date, drag that in, and we are simply going to select the blank fields, the items that haven't yet been returned. Let's finish up by ensuring that the URL shows correctly here. I'm going to look at the formatting and then I can see the URL icon option and I'm going to turn it to on. We're now going to move over to the students review page and I'm going to select on this visual and I'm going to select Control C. Then I'm going to move over to the students review and then select Control V. I'm going to double click into the text box and I'm going to call this Students Review. We can do the same exercise for the back icon. Select on Current Loans, select on the icon, Control C, back to Students Review and Control V. We can move that back into position. I'm now going to click on some space here and I'm going to bring in a card visual. We're going to make this smaller, bring it to the top and make it a little bit smaller again. And we're going to bring in the total loans and we'll drag that into the data well there. We're also going to bring in the total days on loan and drag that in. Currently the total days on loan is showing as 2K, but I want to change that. So I'm going to actually look at the call out values and I'm going to go on to the display units and I'm going to change that from auto and I'm going to make it into none. I'll also change the horizontal alignment. We're now going to bring in a tree map, select on some space there, Select on the tree map visual, bring it into position on the right hand side at the top, make it a little bit bigger, and we're going to make the category is going to be full name, drag that into there, and the values will be total loans. And drag that into the values. If we go to format this visual, we can add in the data labels here. And if we select on one of the individuals, such as Anna Muller, we'll see that the numbers then change. We're going to bring in a bar chart, select here, select the stacked column chart option, resize the visual, and onto the x-axis we want to bring in our school year hierarchy. We'll drag that in. And onto the y-axis we're going to bring in the total loans. I can deselect Anna Muller. And if I select on the format options and ensure that edit interactions is turned on, I can then select on the tree map and then select on the filters for the total loans by school year. This means that when I select on Anna Muller for the second time, it will filter it down. I can now deselect edit interactions, and I can start to interact with this visual. I can turn on drill down, which means that if I select on 2023, we'll look at all the months that occur in 2023. We can move back up a level, turn off drill down, and we could go down to the next level in the hierarchy. This shows us all of the books that were taken out in all of the months in our data set. Let's try one more thing. Go back up a level and we'll expand down to one level in the hierarchy. This shows us all of the months and all the years for the book loans in our data set. Let's go back up a level. We're going to add in a matrix, so we're going to select an area just below the tree map, and we'll then bring in a matrix. Move this into position, and make it bigger. We're now going to bring the total loans into the values field as well as total days on loan. In the rows, we're going to have the full name. That's coming from the student table. And we'll also have the book name. Drag that in there. When we select the plus icon, we can see all of the books that were taken out by Alex Smith. And in our tiny library with only 10 books, we can see that the same book has been taken out multiple times. Once again, we can see the interactivity available in Power BI. If I select on Alex Smith, then all of the visuals will filter down. And if I go on to the format and then edit interactions, I could change it so that the bar chart will only filter the data rather than show it as a subset of the overall data set. We can resize the bar chart visual and also format it so that we can see the values. Select the data labels to be on, and we can format them so that we can make them appear so that they are inside the end. Whilst I'm happy with the visuals I've created, we could make them in a different way. In the visualizations pane, we could change the tree map. We can make it a pie chart or a donut chart. And if we deselect Alex Smith, whilst the numbers come in, they don't really enhance our understanding. So let's go back to the tree map visual. And this brings us to the end of this exercise. In this video, we have built and configured our Power BI report visuals. And this was made more straightforward by the work that we'd already carried out in respect of additional columns and also Power BI measures. I'll see you in the next video.